Hello all and welcome back to another wonderful video. Today I am here in Ponytown surrounded by, what is this? How are these trees like this? Today I'm surrounded by these mysterious trees, these strange trees, because today in Ponytown I'm going to be sharing you guys just some general building ideas and some inspiration for you guys. It's a Ponytown inspiration video, that's right. Today I'm going to be showing you guys some ideas of things that you can do in Ponytown to really improve your building and just all kinds of neat little things that you're probably going to find yourself using once you see these. So starting off, of course, we have these trees. These trees are a very simple thing to make. All you need to do is, of course, open up your building menu, find it. Yes, they are these little wooden columns. They're in your indoor section. Grab any of them. It doesn't matter which one you want. You can even flip them if you want to. Sort of, it's a weird thing. They really need to make that like a more known thing. But all you gotta do is do that and then place it, and then leave the indoor tab, go to the nature tab, and scroll on over to a tree. Now you're gonna want the medium tree. You're not gonna want the super large tree. You can use the large tree, and I'll show you in a second how you can get away with doing that. But then you want to place it literally, basically on the same area, just like that, and boom, you now have one of these trees. Now this looks way better in the fall season, if you ask me. So if I switch it to fall, these trees look a million times better. But if you don't want your grass to be fall, of course you can change the season back to summer or auto or whatever, and then you can get yourself a rake. Now the rake, of course, obviously can change the season to anything, so it's obviously going to set it to summer and then fall, and then there you go. And you can change these. Also, that didn't change to fall for some reason. Why didn't that change to fall? Okay, there it goes. It switched. Did you see that? It switched back to summer for a second. That was weird. But yeah, you can do that. And if you want the leaves to be like a slightly more reddish color, then of course you can paint these. But I do think the fall trees look much better than the default trees. But one thing that you can do is, if you want to use these larger things, obviously you can see the stump and things like that through this tree. But if we go ahead and grab ourselves a bush, drop ourselves a bush here, maybe right here, move some bushes over here, and maybe stuff a rock behind there. Now it looks like a more natural tree, because of course there can be shrubbery around a tree, shrubbery and all that. You can of course mix this with all kinds of things. You can put a rock there, a rose bush, whatever you think might fit best for hiding that tree. But if you do use the larger trees, then you're going to want to hide part of it because it sticks out on the edge. So that is my tip there for you guys. You can make birch trees in Ponytown now. Hopefully one day we'll get actual proper birch trees or something like that. I think that would be awesome. But moving on, we have ourselves a little street, and this is another very simple thing for you guys to do. This is a very, very easy thing to do. All you got to do is get yourself one of these big banner posts and one of these things right here. So to find these, all you got to do is open up your build menu, go to the outdoors section, and get yourself a banner post. Now I personally prefer the one that has the little rope on the edge, but of course you can use the one that doesn't have that rope on the top of it. But you can place these just like so, and then get yourself, since it's already in the outdoor tab, get yourself one of these little crystal branches and stick it right on there, just right there where it's just barely touching it, and it kind of looks like a nice little street lamp almost. It just looks really good to me personally. Now there's probably a better way to do this, and maybe someone will find out in the future a better way to do this, but personally I love this because it's actually hanging, so it's not something that's just like, oh, I put a bunch of crowbars next to each other and then put like crystals underneath it or something like that. No, this is like actually hanging, so you can't step on top of the light post and completely destroy your illusion and everything like that. So I really, really love this. But moving on, there's actually a variant of this that you can do. You can do a very similar thing with these little wooden post things. Now, if you ask me personally, I do not think that these little tree thingies look very good with the branches, because they are totally different colors and they don't really seem to line up as good and stuff like that. I mean, you can kind of get away with it. It kind of looks okay, but considering how brown this branch is coming off of a white tree, it just looks kind of weird. So personally, I wouldn't do that. Instead, what I've done is I just got some lanterns. Now this is something that will break, the illusion will break very easily, because I can obviously go between this, but it does kind of look like the lantern's being hung up by one of these branches. So this is a very simple thing for you to do. All you have to do is line up the lantern perfectly with the tree branch, and you're good to go. It's very simple. Personally, I would try to close these off if you do this, or mess around with it in such a way that it's hard for a player to go between here, because Going between here completely destroys the illusion that it's hanging, because obviously it's not hanging. And everything. So these are some street lamp ideas for you guys, and let's move on to some more stuff, some interior stuff, because you're probably tired of all this outdoor stuff. Let's go back inside. Inside, I have a very, very simple thing for you. Again, using these tree thingies, these little wooden columns, they're very, very simple to use. All you got to do is place them, and they are so diverse. They're so diverse in what you can use them with. Personally, I have used them for the hanging plant. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the hanging plants by themselves, shall we? Let's get ourselves a hanging plant and then plop that down right there. Now, the hanging plant is a really nice addition to the game. I really love it, and it looks really good. But even though it's inside, and your brain is like, yes, this is a hanging plant, so it must be hanging from the ceiling, it kind of doesn't work fully for me anyway. Personally, it doesn't work completely for me, because it just looks like it's floating there, because you can't tell what it's hanging from. Obviously, it's supposed to be hanging from the ceiling, but we can't see the ceiling and we can't see what it's hanging from, so it's really hard for my brain to adjust to the fact that this is hanging from something. So what I've done is I've placed a little hanging plant like this, and then got myself a very simple wooden column, and then put that wooden column right about there, and then boom, and now it looks like the wooden column is what's holding it up. It's such a tiny little thing, tiny little thing, that makes it look a million times better. I mean, look at this. It's like legitimately hanging from the little thing that we placed there, the little wooden column. It's like actually hanging from it. That's what it looks like, and I think that looks amazing. The best part about this is if you do this outside, obviously the hanging plants outside make no sense, because it's outside. What the hell could possibly be holding it? Well, now all you have to do is place a wooden column out there, and boom, now this wooden column is what's holding it up. I personally love it. And one more thing that I want to add about it, because I just noticed because of that right there, the hanging plants, if you hit like escape and go back and forth between them, they will eventually change. They will eventually flip just like that. And obviously you probably want to use the flipped variants so that they're not covering part of the branch, because personally I think the one that's covering the branch doesn't look as good, but that's my own personal preference. So let's move on. This little stuff down here below me isn't anything too special. It's just something that I kind of just played around with. If you guys find any value in what I'm doing down here at the bottom right here, then feel free to take note of that, but there's nothing special there. So moving on, we have some more hanging plants. Now, what I did is something very similar to what I did over here with these columns. Instead of having the little plants be hanging by basically nothing, or at least an invisible object, I had them hanging from these wooden columns, or these wooden posts and everything like that. Again, they're in your outdoor category, so you're gonna have to be going between categories here, but you go to your outdoor category. And again, I personally love the one with rope, because you can kind of see the post better if you do this, because I don't know if you noticed, but this one right here isn't the same one as this one here, because this one has a rope, or I mean this one has a rope, and then this one on the left does not have a rope. It's the other one. I don't know why one's called the tall wooden post and the other one's just called a wooden post, because they're the exact same size, but one of them has rope around it, so take of that what you will. Personally, I really love using the ones that have rope around them, because it looks like it's actually being tied to the top of the post. So that's what I would use for that case. So moving on, we have our pit of fire. That's right, we have a pit of fire. This is one of my favorite things to do ever since I found it. It's actually such a simple thing to do, and it's something that's hard to mess up even. All you have to do is get yourself some walls. Let's get ourselves some stone walls here. Let's put a little box right here. Get yourself a box just like that. Get yourself some candles. Make sure they're always lit. That way your pit of fire is eternal. So you want to find the large candle lit. Use the large candles, don't use the small ones, because if you use the small ones, you're going to be using, you know, a little bit more, because this large candle has 2 flames on it, or at least some of them do. But once you do that, all you have to do is place these in such a way where only the fire is peeking above the wall, and boom, there you go. And the more you do this, the more confident you can get in just placing these around very quickly, like I just did just there, and you can have yourself a pit of fire in literally seconds. Now, the only downside to this pit of fire is the fact that it eats away at your object limit. If we take a look at my object limit right now, you can see that I'm using 355 of 1600 of my objects. If I wasn't a Patreon 3 supporter, then I would be very close to reaching my limit about now. I'm like halfway there for default. So this is something that you guys need to be careful of whenever you do your pits of fire. That's why I personally would try to use small pits of fire like this one here, or even just a small column, like a little stretch instead of like a big shape like this. Unless you're a tier 3 supporter or you have a bunch of objects or you're not worried about your object limit or anything like that. And I will say that the majority of the objects are going into these candles that I've placed and everything. So take it that way you will, and let's move on to our last thing. That's right, we're on our last thing already. Our last thing here is stairs. Now this one is a bit of a stretch, I'm going to be honest with you, but as I was ending the video, I kind of was like, oh, is there any other last thing that I can add to this little idea and everything like that? And I found these little wooden cushion things. If you go to the indoor tab and scroll over enough, you will find the wooden seat. It is right next to the cushioned seat and the log slices and stuff like that. They have two variants. They have like a sideways variant like this, and then they have a up and down variant like this. As you can see, the stripes are going horizontal, and then these stripes are going vertical. For stairs, I would personally try to get the vertical slab and try to line those up as you go up. And the more of these you do, the more stair-like it almost becomes, because they sort of stack on each other in such an interesting way. Now, I probably didn't do this in the best possible way, but what I did is I got some benches for the guardrails, and then you go down here, and now you're downstairs, and you can have a tea party with Fez and their girlfriend. That's right. They're in a relationship. They're dating each other, and I'm ruining the date. But seriously, I think this is an interesting idea and an alternative to the old method of placing down, tiles and stuff like that for flooring. Now, if you do this, obviously you want the downstairs to be a different floor tile than the upstairs, or at least to try to mark off the upstairs from the downstairs. That way they're split off. Because if they're the same all the way across, then it can very quickly destroy the illusion. As you can see here, if I just clone this and then do this, you can see how it kind of just looks like it's not downstairs. It kind of looks like it's part of the same thing, because you don't have that little crease all the way down the middle, and it's like the same stuff as you go up. So personally, I would use either two different wood types, or maybe carpet the top stairs or carpet the bottom stairs, or do something to kind of change things. You could even just line up a bunch of bookshelves to sort of block off the color from stretching over or something like that. That might work. There's all kinds of things that you can do there, but that is it for all the little tips here and everything like that. I do hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope you found something of value out of here. This is the island, by the way. I'm going to zoom all the way out here. Yeah, one last chance for you guys to take screenshots and get some inspiration here. But we're going to be ending the video here, so I do hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all those wonderful things like that, because when you do those wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful for yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.